Member for Chaguanas East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for allowing me to contribute to this debate. And Madam Speaker, as I enter this debate on the Appropriation Bill 2024 for the financial year 2025, under the hollow and lofty theme of steadfast and resolute, forging pathways to prosperity, Madam Speaker, which is nothing more than a regurgitation of failed promises wrapped in the same tired rhetoric. Madam Speaker, what this government dares to call pathways are in fact dead ends, are in fact traps paved with stagnation, are in fact broken systems and delusionment, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, instead of prosperity, we are left with mounting debt, social decay, and widening inequality. Madam Speaker, this government's resolute stance seems to only serve the few while abandoning the many. Madam Speaker, we ask, how much longer must the citizens endure this mismanagement disguised as progress year after year? Mr. Deputy Speaker, we on this side, having thoroughly perused this mismatched, hodgepodge, benign mass of paper, have aptly referred to it as a decade of destruction and misfortune. Mr. Deputy Speaker, and with that being said, the opposition leader would have said it right from the very first day this budget was read, that we in this country, citizens of this country, have faced a decade of destruction. Mr. Deputy Speaker, and with that being said, I wish to commend the opposition leader once again for echoing the voices of the people who depend on us in this country. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I wish to commend the opposition leader and the member for Siparia for outlining a comprehensive plan on how a UNC government will handle your affairs, the people affairs. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the opposition leader had members of the government spinning after she outlined that comprehensive plan to deal with the affairs affecting our population. She had the member for Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West confused that when he started his presentation, he had to ask a question of how one would have to wonder how the UNC will accomplish these plans. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I say to them today, we have done it before and we will do it again. Mr. Deputy Speaker, and we will do it again, and we will do it better this time, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, Mr. Deputy Speaker, my constituents are very involved in their representation. Mr. Deputy Speaker, they are very involved, from Enterprise, Longdonville, Lange Park, Warrenville, Cunupia, Jerningham, every community, they are well involved in their representation. And some of them have even contacted me labeling this budget and the governance of this government as a decade of disaster, hardship, and tragedy, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Minister of Social Development and Family Services, I was very surprised that the minister thank you, focused a lot on the theme of this budget, steadfast and resolute. Mr. Deputy Speaker, in listening to the Minister of Social Development and Family Services, I really felt sorry for her this year. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Minister of Social Development in this fiscal year should be the last one to praise the Minister of Finance. I felt sorry for her because, Mr. Deputy Speaker, she was left with no choice but to come here today and report on the government system established grants. What has been there, what is still there. And when I say established grants, she reported on established grants which people are struggling to even apply for, much less to get an approval and become a recipient of these established grants. Mr. Deputy Speaker, she reported on established grants which citizens of this country have to face a stressful means test, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Bad attitudes at regional offices. Mr. Deputy Speaker, if you look at the recurrent expenditure and development expenditure under the Ministry of Social Development and Family Services, you would see that the Ministry of Social Development and Family Services struggled to expend in the fiscal year 2024. They struggled. So to listen to the minister today, it was really depressing. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Minister of Social Development couldn't speak to any new program rollouts to really impact the social issues affecting the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Which is a sad day for the poor and vulnerable in this country. The minister resorted to reporting on matters in the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Housing, and even the Ministry of Labor, because she was struggling, the minister was struggling to report on her own ministry here today, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the minister spoke about digital wallet. Mr. Deputy Speaker, what was the minister really speaking about when she spoke about digital wallet? When the ministry is struggling to get persons onto direct deposit, which is to move away from the check system and have their monies from grants deposited in banking accounts. But you are coming here today to tell us about digital wallet. Mr. Deputy Speaker, promises, 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 which have not been materializing in this country. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the minister spoke to literacy. Promises again, adult literacy, mentioned over and over and over, and you can't seem to hear any success level figures given to us here in the minister's presentation. We are yet to hear, Mr. Deputy Speaker, about the Citizens Engagement Unit, which is supposed to help with people's issues when it comes to each member of parliament having a liaison with their local boards. The minister spoke about nothing like that here today. Tunapuna and Arima making public assistance grants easier for persons to access. This has been a promise year after year to have these two offices opened, Mr. Deputy Speaker. So today you hear the words, we will implement. We are looking at this, we are looking at that. But, Mr. Deputy Speaker, no real success. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the minister went on to say, to ask, what do we on this side have against the poor and vulnerable? Mr. Deputy Speaker, who advocates more for the poor and vulnerable than members of the opposition? Mr. Deputy Speaker, but I will answer the minister here today and let the minister and the government know that we on this side have the poor and vulnerable at heart. And we will take care of them. It's not long again before you demit office and we take office. And we get that opportunity to take care of the poor and vulnerable. Mr. Deputy Speaker, they come here and they boast about the poor and vulnerable, helping the poor and vulnerable. And every one of them on this side, they struggle to help the poor and vulnerable in their very own constituencies. So they know we are speaking the truth when we speak about the suffering of the poor and vulnerable in this country. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the minister even went on to attack the member for Siparia for speaking about senior citizens and what they have access to based on this budget presentation. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I spoke before to the estimates. Mr. Deputy Speaker, if you look at senior citizens in this budget presentation and the estimates presented to us, you would see that the sums allocated to senior citizens' homes are insignificant and inconsequential and does not in any way improve the lives of our senior citizens. When you want to speak, Mr. Deputy Speaker, to senior citizens and helping senior citizens, I did not hear the Minister of Social Development speak about how many citizens, senior citizens, have applied for pension, senior citizens pension. And they have been waiting, they have qualified, they have been waiting for over a year for a visit from caseworkers. And caseworkers are facing overload. And you speak about protecting and taking care of senior citizens in this country when they cannot even get an established grant of the senior citizens grant, which they applied and qualified for, and they have met all requirements. To this day, they cannot receive their grant. They have to wait for a new fiscal year because it's either they did not receive enough money, it's either the caseworkers are they are facing casework overload that they cannot go and visit these people, or it's either when they go to the regional offices, they have to now give their documents to security. And they are not even sure if it's reaching the liaison officers or the caseworkers, Mr. Deputy Speaker. So do not come here to tell us about this government is taking care of the senior citizens of this country when we know it is not so, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Minister of Social Development kept praising the theme of this budget of steadfast and resolute. Mr. Deputy Speaker, when we on this side think about steadfast and resolute, we can think about a decade, a PNM decade of this. Steadfastly and resolutely destroy the state institutions. Steadfastly and resolutely presided over spiraling and rampant crime, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Steadfastly and resolutely destroyed the business environment, several businesses closing down and unemployment escalating in this country. Mr. Deputy Speaker, steadfastly and resolutely starve the poor and vulnerable where they cannot even afford rent in this country. Mr. Deputy Speaker, and the member for Port of Spain North will come here today to describe this budget as one that is responsible. Mr. Deputy Speaker, you know, you could be responsible, but you could be responsible with a level of care and understanding, you know. And you know, Mr. Deputy Speaker, you could also be responsible by being responsible or pretending to be responsible. Mr. Deputy Speaker, steadfastly and resolute. What we can think about is steadfastly and resolutely destroy the infrastructure by failing to widen the road network and or rehabilitate the pothole-ridden roadways, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, every facet of people's daily lives, they have steadfastly and resolutely destroyed or failed to address, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the member even stressed, the minister even stressed on forging pathways to prosperity, part of the theme of this budget. Mr. Deputy Speaker, today I want to ask this government, how can we forge pathways to prosperity when there were insufficient social safety nets during COVID-19? Mr. Deputy Speaker, numerous people have repeatedly visited my office and other MPs' offices complaining about the non-receipt of financial assistance to date, COVID relief grants, salary relief grants, etc. All 19 of us, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and I know they on that side face the same problem. Mr. Deputy Speaker, how can we forge pathways to prosperity when you have a neglect of housing needs, Mr. Deputy Speaker? Incomplete housing projects and lengthy waiting period to even get a call for an interview, Mr. Deputy Speaker. You have a reference number on a card, and you are waiting that call for 20 plus years, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, how can we forge pathways to prosperity when we have cuts in education programs, reduction in and challenges in accessing GATE, Mr. Deputy Speaker? Mr. Deputy Speaker, a constituent of mine messaged me this morning, and I want to read this message, just as he sent it. Good evening, my dear MP. Just take note or pass it on. In this budget speech, the Minister of Finance mentioned that a lot of people benefited from GATE. I depend on the taxi to maintain my home. I was paying $2,200 a semester. They raised it to $6,000 a semester in the midst of COVID, when 2 passengers could not have paid for a full tank of fuel for the car, Mr. Deputy Speaker. That is a constituent, and I am speaking here to cuts in education programs, challenges with GATE. So how can we forge pathways to prosperity, Mr. Deputy Speaker? How can we forge pathways to prosperity with rising food insecurity? When you have inadequate food support, they promised us the food box program to assist with the food card program. Nothing to date, Mr. Deputy Speaker, nothing to date. Mr. Deputy Speaker, how can we forge pathways to prosperity with poor management of public utilities, where the poor and vulnerable have issues with reliable access to clean water? Water supply remains a big issue in this entire country. You know, every day as I wake up in the morning, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I see several messages for truck-borne supply in this day and age. Truck-borne supply 2 and 3 times for the week with vulnerable families. And if you owe $1 on your water bill, it's pressure for you, no truck-borne water. And these are the serious issues, social issues facing the poor and vulnerable in this country. Mr. Deputy Speaker, how can we forge pathways to prosperity with limited access to health care, where many citizens are waiting? You heard it from the opposition leader. All MPs you will hear lamenting this, with persons being on waiting lists, etc. Mr. Deputy Speaker, and you know, the air of the leader must ring with the voices of the people. And that goes for the Prime Minister. Because I want to reiterate from a GSE, and we must not fall for the Minister of Health pronouncements that the public healthcare system is free and the citizens are receiving the best healthcare. Mr. Deputy Speaker, Thursday, 30th November 2023, these JSE meetings which went into 2024, you would see a series of meetings. Public healthcare system slammed at JSE town hall meetings at the JSE for Social Services and Public Administration. So the poor and vulnerable face so much because they have no choice but to go to these health facilities, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And sometimes you're wondering, the Minister of Health is sound asleep. Who's really listening when it comes to these issues facing our vulnerable population who have no choice but to depend on these institutions? Mr. Deputy Speaker, this budget has really failed the poor and vulnerable. An analysis of the government's policies, implementation strategies, and outcome reveals a pattern of inefficiencies, neglect, and mismanagement, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I want to reflect a little on, you know, I was sitting here earlier and I said, let me reflect a little bit, really and truly, on PNM's governance. Mr. Deputy Speaker, let's reflect on what the poor and vulnerable is really facing in this country. And I was telling my colleague from Moruga Tableland, you know, under this government, people die awaiting pension.
True.
And we say we are taking care of the senior citizens. People die awaiting hospital beds, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, under this government, people die awaiting surgery. People die awaiting a caretaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, from the GAP program. Mr. Deputy Speaker, people die awaiting a firearm, is either naturally or by crime, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, families have mashed up arising out of the COVID pandemic. And, you know, Mr. Deputy Speaker, domestic violence is on the rise under this government. Suicides on the rise.
Members, please. Right, by now, we know the rule of the House. All mobile phones on silent or switched off. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Suicides on the rise, as I was saying. So this country is really going downhill when it comes to PNM's governance and their fiscal measures, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, you know, the media reached out to me in terms of the social sector. And, you know, this budget presentation makes it clear that this government has once again failed to prioritize the needs of social sector recipients. Mr. Deputy Speaker, despite their grand declarations, the most vulnerable, our elderly, single mothers, persons with disabilities, and the unemployed continue to be marginalized. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I want to dissect a little bit in terms of the presentation by the minister himself. And I want to comment a bit on, the impact of what the minister has presented as it relates to the social sector. Mr. Deputy Speaker, what we saw was an insufficient increase in social welfare grants. Mr. Deputy Speaker, no marginal increases for senior citizens in terms of the senior citizens' pension, no marginal increases for persons with public assistance who receive the public assistance. And mind you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, senior citizens now have to pay for their own medication because they have challenges with CDAP. Senior citizens have to pay property tax. During my walkabouts, many senior citizens would have said to me, we have to pay property tax now with just a pension. Mr. Deputy Speaker, and I now move to this burning issue. No increase in anything for the disabled community. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this budget failed to expand disability support. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this presentation falls woefully short in its provisions for persons with disabilities. Mr. Deputy Speaker, despite the growing number of people in need, there has been no significant expansion of the disability assistance grant. Mr. Deputy Speaker, if it's one group of people I really wished, we on this side really wished, could have gotten some form of increase was members of the disabled community who received the disability grant. Mr. Deputy Speaker, there are no new programs to ensure meaningful inclusion in the workforce for them either. Mr. Deputy Speaker, just imagine today, the minister spoke about senior citizens and the bus service. Madam Minister may need to revisit the operations of the bus service provided by the Ministry of paid for, not provided by, paid for by the Ministry of Social Development and Family Services. Mr. Deputy Speaker, just imagine to date the Eldamo bus service catering to the specific needs of the differently abled remains inoperational. My colleague is correct. The Eldamo service has collapsed in this country, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Over and over. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sometimes I wonder if I come here and I just speak and, if the government really listens to the plight of the people and those who are suffering. Time and time again, I have asked about this Eldamo service and was told that it is working and the disabled community is receiving this service, is fully operational. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I refer to Trinidad Express article, May 12, 2024. Only one Eldamo PTSC driver for 6 buses, Mr. Deputy Speaker. How much worse can it get? And you are saying that you support this team of steadfast and resolute pathways to prosperity. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the minister definitely needs to revisit this transportation service for the poor and vulnerable. The minister spoke to the disability bill. Of course, and I echo the sentiments of the member for Siparia. We have provided an efficient Eldamo service during our tenure. The disabled community had no complaints. They felt protected. They felt taken care of. They could have called on us at any time. But under this government, the services for them, it has collapsed. They cannot see any pathway to prosperity, Mr. Deputy Speaker. So what steadfast and resolute are we speaking to? For years, each and every year, you would see in the social sector investment program, disabled bill revised, almost ready, almost ready. Today again, the minister is saying almost ready. Mr. Deputy Speaker, when the ministry has adopted their own policy, which is not a policy that you cannot get more than 1 grant. No policy guiding that. So if you're getting disability, Mr. Deputy Speaker, you cannot get a food card. Do you know that? I'm sure you face that issue in your constituency. So when will these legislation be brought before the House? Time and time again we ask to protect the disabled community. Again I say, their time is short, but we will do it, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Because if we are to wait on the government, we will keep waiting, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Our disabled community expected much more in this budget. They expected much more. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the minister spoke about the National Therapeutic Center in Carson Field. Again, nothing for the disabled community by this government. Since 2021, the member for Arouca Maloney would have responded to a question to say by September 2021, works will be completed at this National Therapeutic Center in Carson Field. The minister today is reporting it will be the first of its kind. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the UNC built that facility. We must remind them of that. It was fully operational under the United National Congress. Mr. Deputy Speaker, you know what this government did? They evicted the CKFTO and the Cerebral Palsy Society of Trinidad and Tobago from that facility, which provided therapeutic services to the children. When we asked, they put them in some facility down in Couva, then they couldn't make again, and they just left them stranded. Mr. Deputy Speaker, through the instruction of the member for Siparia and the goodness of this side, because we have the disabled at heart, we would have worked with the business community. And today I say thank you to Price Club Supermarket, the Cerebral Palsy Society of Trinidad and Tobago, the CKFTO, have started their therapeutic services at a building located on Ramsaran Street provided by Price Club. This is UNC working for you. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this is what you call strong public-private partnership. Mr. Deputy Speaker, we are in opposition and we are already doing it right, Mr. Deputy Speaker. So, Mr. Deputy Speaker, can you imagine when we go into government, not if, when we go into government, Mr. Deputy Speaker, so they will come here and boast, but we have the facts, we have the figures, we speak to the NGOs, we speak to the people, we carry out meaningful discussions. We have carried out discussions with the disabled community through our budget consultations, which we held during our recess period as instructed by the member for Siparia. And the disabled community would have voiced their concerns with us. And we know exactly what they are suffering from, the neglect they are facing under this government, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this budget lacked focus on mental health services. And I want to look a little bit at street dwelling, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, homelessness is growing in Trinidad and Tobago. Whether we like it or not, we must face the facts. And I must say, homelessness is growing under this government. You know why, Mr. Deputy Speaker? They are focused on buildings versus issues. So we will await a socially displaced center to be constructed, then to deal with the issue. Mr. Deputy Speaker, according to the Social Sector Investment Program, a total of 376 street dwellers were counted at the end of fiscal 2023, Mr. Deputy Speaker. But what is notable is, according to the Social Sector Investment Program 2025, as at November, which is just a few months later, the total number of street dwellers jumped from 376 to 624, Mr. Deputy Speaker, from 376 in a matter of months to 624. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this is sad to know that homelessness continue to rise in this country. Mr. Deputy Speaker, recently I would have had an issue in the community of Chaguanas East, and the Ministry of Social Development, I wrote to the Minister of Social Development, and the minister responded, and the minister had me liaise with a team, and the team visited the community of Chaguanas East with my staff. But you know what was depressing? You know what was amazing? The staff had no way how to really deal with this situation. The staff were telling the street dwellers, go down the road, take a PTSD bus, go to San Fernando General Hospital to be assessed. Mr. Deputy Speaker, are you hearing that? You are telling street dwellers, go down the road by Courts and Chaguanas, take a PTSD bus, head to San Fernando General Hospital to get yourself assessed. Mr. Deputy Speaker, let's face the facts. These persons are on the streets. You really think they're going down the road by Courts, take a PTSD bus and go to San Fernando General Hospital to be assessed? No. And on top of that, they have to get their own bus ticket, Mr. Deputy Speaker. That is PNM governance for you. And you already seen in El Damo, one driver for 6 buses. So how do we really deal with the issue of street dwelling if this is the government's approach to it? That you are leaving these people, socially displaced, to fend for themselves. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I even offered to get someone with a bus to assist because I care, correct. And, Mr. Deputy Speaker, When I speak, it's not I, because we care, and we have the poor and vulnerable at heart. Under the UNC, hundreds of persons were removed from the streets, and they ascended to better lives, Mr. Deputy Speaker. We had a progressive street dwelling unit, and I make no apologies. I know this is accurate. I know for a fact, under the member for Siparia, this is accurate. The member for Siparia was the Minister of Social Development, the Minister of the People and Social Development at that time. But now you have 600 plus street dwellers on the street, and they don't know what's next for them. Mr. Deputy Speaker, so really and truly, we are on a pathway to nowhere. Mr. Deputy Speaker, we are on a pathway to nowhere with this government, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this budget presentation is nothing short of an act of disloyalty and an act of betrayal of the people trust, particularly, Mr. Deputy Speaker, in the social sector. Mr. Deputy Speaker, under the PNM, the social services sector over the past 5 years have faced inadequate social safety nets where we've had a failure to protect the most vulnerable. Make no joke about that. And there's no doubt about that either, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the PNM has only had poorly targeted programs where you see a lot of wastage and inefficiencies. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the PNM's 5 years in the social sector, you heard it just now, would have displayed neglect of the differently abled community. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the PNM's 5 years of the social sector would have displayed a disheartening neglect of the youth, the vulnerable youth, at-risk youth, and the elderly of this country. Mr. Deputy Speaker, and why I say at-risk youth, time and time again you would hear in certain areas you have programs for at-risk youth. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this problem is throughout the country, and it needs to be dealt with in a holistic approach throughout the country, not in specific areas each and every year, and you have other at-risk communities awaiting assistance. You have a youth caravan going about the country. It has been completed. Big budgeted amounts for that. What has been the success story out of that thus far? Just to say you do a youth caravan here, there, and everywhere, but you have no success out of that. How many youth got jobs out of that? We can't say. How many persons would have accessed social services out of that? We can't say, Mr. Deputy Speaker. So, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the government, the PNM's 5 years of the social sector represents a lack of vision and innovation in the social services sector. Mr. Deputy Speaker, just yesterday I had the privilege of being a part of youth budget talks. And it was amazing to see and listen to the contribution of the young people of our beloved nation. And I just want to commend these young people and let them know that to continue to fight for your place in this society, I want to let these young people know that their voice is most important in taking our country forward. Mr. Deputy Speaker, when the discussion of AI arose yesterday, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I was amazed to see the lineup of these young people, how excited they were to contribute to AI, and how excited they were to see AI implemented in our country. Mr. Deputy Speaker, and the social sector, whilst other nations are embracing digital solutions and innovative strategies to improve service delivery, the PNM has largely relied on outdated methods that are no longer fit for purpose, Mr. Deputy Speaker. If you walk into any government office, any social services office, you have problems of lost files, lost documents. And this government come time and time again and state that they are spending monies on digitization, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Yet we cannot see it happening. Each and every time you hear about social services delivery, you hear about lost files, come back with your documents, 6 months has passed, ooh, we didn't find that file, that officer was on vacation, etc., 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 Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the failure to innovate not only leaves us lagging behind other nations, but also deprives our citizens of the benefits that come with modernization, Mr. Deputy Speaker. So, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the PNM's management of the social services sector during their current term has really been, based on what I just listed out to you, marked by inefficiency, neglect, and most of all, lack of vision, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, but you have heard it from the member for Siparia, and I will reiterate it here again. How much time I have? I will reiterate it here again. Mr. Deputy Speaker, a UNC government will not see our people starve and suffer. A UNC government will revitalize the direct cash transfer programs, Mr. Deputy Speaker. We wouldn't deprive our citizens and give them a means test to pressure them that they can't even qualify using the means test, or they have to be scared to talk and say what their real situations are when they have to go through the means test process, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, a UNC government will strengthen and expand GATE to deal with our vulnerable, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, a UNC government will promote small and micro enterprise development, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Increasing loans to give the poor and vulnerable a chance in society. Increasing entrepreneurship training for our young people. And support cooperative societies, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, a UNC government will enhance social housing initiatives. I want to remind you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, our UNC government, through the URP program, it wasn't just no $2 increase. We built houses.
You'll speak in time. You have an additional 10. You get to avail yourself.
Of course, Mr. Deputy
Proceed.
Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, our UNC government built houses for people throughout Trinidad and Tobago who were living below the poverty line, who were facing issues, in other words, the poor and vulnerable, under the URP program, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Under the member for Siparia, we have done our best, and we will do it again in terms of securing housing for our people so they don't only have to await a lottery system, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, a UNC government will implement community-based agricultural programs. If we speak reducing our food import bill and allowing our agricultural sector to grow, we must implement community-based agricultural programs, Mr. Deputy Speaker. A UNC government will expand universal early childhood education, which the poor and vulnerable depend on in this country. Mr. Deputy Speaker, you know how depressing it is to pass ECC centers and see vines growing on it? Taxpayers' dollars, you will hear many MPs speaking to that, whilst you have people who cannot pay a preschool for their child, and they are depending on the ECC centers, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Of course, Mr. Deputy Speaker, a UNC government will strengthen our social protection systems, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, of course a UNC government will continue to foster private-public partnerships, Mr. Deputy Speaker, in an effort to reduce poverty reduction. When we speak poverty reduction, we mean poverty reduction, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Of course, Madam Speaker, of course we will provide jobs. We will deal with unemployment so our poor and vulnerable have a chance, Mr. Deputy Speaker, Madam Speaker, to gain an income. Honestly, Mr. Deputy Speaker, Madam Speaker, sorry, I'm just having a little issue transitioning there. Yes? Madam Speaker, of course, a UNC government will do all of these to ensure that our safety, our social safety net is secured, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to move a little bit quickly to my very own constituency, socially and in terms of representation. And let's speak crime. Madam Speaker, this government has of itself, if we are to look at page 92 of the budget statement, this government has confessed that it has failed to address crime and criminality in our country. They have confessed, Madam Speaker, that they have failed to deal with our criminal situation in this country. Madam Speaker, the member for Port of Spain South was gallivanting today. I can't describe it any better. Speaking about social programs to deal with crime. But Madam Speaker, you know what was sad? What was sad? Not that he couldn't even pronounce Naratri. He loves to make TikTok apparently. Pine Dibal, on and on, Madam Speaker. But he spoke about social programs. And Madam Speaker, he was fishing. What was surprising, the minister couldn't outline one social program. Not one social program that this government has adopted under his ministry to deal with the root causes of crime in this country. He couldn't outline one, Madam Speaker, not even the success of anything he could have spoken to here today, which was depressing to know that he's the minister of is responsible for part of national security, the TTPS. Madam Speaker, the Minister of National Security spoke about police youth clubs. Time and time again, I have been bullied when asked about the Cunupia Police Youth Club, whether it's operational or not. When they are operational, but time and time again, I'm asking for a facility. The Minister of National Security, the Minister in the Ministry of National Security, responsible for the TTPS, responsible for police youth clubs, could not today mention the Cunupia Police Youth Club. Madam Speaker, I was heartbroken by that. Because if you are speaking at-risk communities, if you are speaking dealing with criminal situations, dealing with our youth, dealing with the root causes of crime, then the Cunupia Police Youth Club, which we have been lobbying for years, should have been at least the top 5 in what the minister listed here today. But Cunupia is looking on. The Cunupia Police Youth Club takes care of different communities in Chaguanas East. And I'm sure they are looking on. And I'm sure when it comes to 2025, they will definitely make the right choice for the right party to get their long-awaited facility, which the UNC has always assisted with, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, property taxation. Madam Speaker, what was depressing in this budget presentation by the Minister of Finance is he failed to really provide some figures as to what each corporation will get, and each corporation impact each MP. Madam Speaker, the minister couldn't provide any figures as to what the corporations will get out of property tax. In fact, Madam Speaker, nobody knows, and what I can say today, not even the minister knows, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, agriculture. The constituency of Chaguanas East is plagued with that giant African snail issue. Madam Speaker, I would have spoken about the bounty program some years ago in this very chamber. The government tried to adopt it, but Madam Speaker, they adopted it in the wrong way, and it failed in no time. Madam Speaker, my constituency is really grappling with this issue of the giant African snail. And the government must not only mention, as they did in page 70 of the budget, that they are dealing with invasive species, but they must deal with the issue of the giant African snail, which continues to affect households, continues to affect farmers, continues to affect pets, continues to affect everything as it relates to my constituents, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this finance minister failed to speak about infrastructure for the constituency of Chaguanas East. The minister spoke about roads and so on out of my constituency. One probably he spoke about in the central region. Yes. But I wanted to hear about Endeavour Road and Warren Monroe Road. I heard nothing about that, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to speak quickly about my constituents and what they would have asked me to raise in this budget presentation. Diet Estate Residents Association looked forward to more infrastructural works in the constituency. The Trinidad and Tobago Disabled Peoples International, they looked forward for a revision of the standard means test. They looked forward for an increase in the disability grant, which they did not get. They looked forward for the reinstatement of food cards, which this government failed to do for those persons living with disabilities. The disabled community looked forward to special allowances for caregiving mothers who have to stay at home and take care of their children, which this government did not speak to in this budget. Madam Speaker, the Chin Chin residential development would have asked for infrastructural works as well. The Cerebral Palsy Society of Trinidad and Tobago would have asked that, the government immediately release subventions to approved NGOs and give more employment to the disabled communities. The farmers would have asked for their incentives. The Jerningham Junction farmers, public transportation operators would have asked for designated transportation hubs and addressing the traffic issue. The Cunupia Police Youth Club would have asked for their facility. The Endeavour Sports Club would have asked for their upgrade, which I wrote to the Minister of Sports and Development to the Avide Samaru Park. And the Point Pleasant Park community would have asked for spraying to be done by the IVCD, Madam Deputy Speaker. And of course, Kings Park as well, asking for spraying to be done within their communities. Madam Deputy Speaker, as an opposition MP, I am proud to say today that we would have initiated in the constituency of Chaguanas East homework centers, therapeutic centers, helped single mothers, helped families. Madam Speaker, I say to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, the government is not Trinidad and Tobago, so do not get confused. The UNC shall be there once again to take you out of this struggle under the member for Siparia. We look forward to working with you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and addressing your needs as a society. Madam Speaker, I thank you.